Hey guys, Jessica here. So today we're going to be talking about how you hook up your Medela Cups to other pumps. So if you buy just the Medela Cups, it's going to come with this little, they call it a jumper cable. What this is supposed to do is to allow you to plug other Medela pumps into this. So if you are plugging a Medela pump in, this is semi-stable, but it's not a very secure connection. So even if you're using this with another Medela pump, you're probably going to want stable tubing. They do sell traditional tubing. Let me pull this up here and show you. This is the traditional Medela tubing. It was that has their proprietary adapter on the end. And originally this was all one piece on both sides. But I do not love Medela tubing and I wanted to be able to hook this up to other things. So at the start with these cups, this tubing was a kind of a sore spot because sometimes we could get it out. This is an adapter that I pulled off and put onto another pump's tubing. You can see this one. It is tight, but you can pull it apart. There was no glue. It was not shrink wrapped. You just had to really pull and be a little aggressive. No big deal. I'm happy to be aggressive with my pumps when I need to get parts off. But on the other side, we could not get it off. I put it in the freezer. I heated it up. We tried cutting it off with an X-Acto knife when we tried to do that. It did end up kind of chipping the inner edge of it. So that was not a great hack. But there is a part on the market. It's this little polycoupling. This is sold by Kristen at Be My Best Friend. And I absolutely love this polycoupling. What it is a food safe two-ended barb. And it allows you to basically cut any type of standard pump tubing or even any type of Medela tubing. You can cut it. You can then use both ends. So on this one, you can see where I cut this off. I could just put the barb back in here and still use it with the traditional. So if I wanted to use it with my Medela pump, I could put it back in here. If I want to use it with my Spectra pump, I just pull it off, put this in the end of the Spectra tubing. It fits with universal tubing. So here's a short section of universal tubing. It just clips right in here. So this is what we would recommend if you are pairing it with the Pumpable Genie Advanced or any type of standard pump tubing. This is not the only pump that this coupling would work with. There are lots of opportunities. If you wanted to use different cups with your Medela pump, you could do the same thing in reverse. So you could cut off the end of your Medela adapters, get this barb, and use it to connect to another pump's tubing. So you could use it to connect to put a piece of Spectra tubing. Now you could connect to the Cara cups. You could do this with almost any cup. This barb is incredibly versatile, but it is the solution to the problem Medela created when they created tubing that doesn't play nicely with others. If there's one thing we know about pumping moms, it's that pumping moms want versatility. You want to be able to use the parts that you want to use with the pump motor that you prefer. This barb helps to remove some of the limitations that a manufacturer like Medela can put in place by making parts that don't play nicely with each other by bypassing our need for them to create these parts. You can now hook up almost anything to any pump. Now, that does not mean that this polybarb magically means that if you hook up and create one of these hacks, that you are immune from the consequences of hacking. When you hack, you are changing the suction potentially. We see that sometimes it can reduce suction, sometimes it can elevate suction. In the case of reduced suction, we may see reduced milk flow. It's really going to depend on your needs. With elevated suction, you can not only cause tissue damage, but you can cause damage to the pump. If you drive up the pump suction too hard, it can kill the motor, it can kill the valve. So that is something to consider. I would not recommend just going and hacking something to a pump where there's no history for how those perform together. You know, maybe ask a pump expert. There's me, there's several other people out there who do these hacks and have the ability to test it to help you figure out what's safe and what's not. But this polybarb right here, that is how I would recommend hooking up your Medela cups to other pumps.